literary elements found in the poem. The various literary elements found in the poem. Ni Yosundare's poem, The Leader and the Led. There are so many literary elements. We're going to be looking at, I think, one or two of them, okay? The poetic devices and elements in the poem. Okay, let's make progress. Now, simile. What is simile? I hope you know, you can still remember what simile is. Simile is a comparison between two things, or two or more things, using as or like. It has to do with comparison. Now, you can see in the poem, I think, let's look at line, the second to the last stanza, where the poet said, tough like a tiger, compassionate like a doe, transparent like a river, mysterious like a lake. You can see the comparison between two things. You understand? They compare our leaders, that our leaders should be tough like a tiger, and they should be as compassionate. See, because the doe has an attribute of being compassionate. You're very meek, very humble. So we can say our leaders should be compassionate. They should be tough like a tiger and compassionate like a doe. We can also see transparent like a river. Yes, rivers are transparent. Sometimes you can look into a river, especially when it is still. When it is still, quiet. No, we don't have waves. When we have the waves, it can be pretty difficult to see what is inside. But when it is still, you could actually see what is inside. Very transparent. You can have a cup of water. You can dip maybe a bead inside. You get to see it clearly. So you can see they expect our leaders to be as transparent like a river and mysterious like a lake. One thing about lake, okay, we have one, Oxbow Lake, and up till now, we still visit that place because we are trying to still figure Oxbow Lake out. You get? Okay, I don't know if that one is mysterious, but you get. Okay, so that is found. You can see the use of like. So please, kindly, are we together, students? Of course, hope you know that, as I always tell you, you should have your pen. I don't have a pen here, but you should have your pen and also a writing material. And so kindly underline like, write simile, kindly identify them. The other thing, I'm going to see all this note as soon as we resume. I want to see everything you've written down. So underline like. You can see how many, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Underline it. These are examples of simile as found in the poem. Examples of simile as found in the poem. Are we cool with that? I hope we are. I hope we are making progress. Okay. Paradox. Who can remember what is paradox? Paradox is, a statement that can be really ambiguous. You get? A statement that is paradoxical, a statement that sounds absurd, on the surface. It sounds really absurd, but when you really analyze that statement, when you look at it critically, you will know that it has an underlying meaning. You get it? An absurd statement which has underlying meaning. Are you getting it? We have the denotative and the connotative. Sometimes denotatively those statements sound crazy, but when you look at the connotative meaning, those statements are really valid. Those statements hold water. Those statements are paradoxical. I remember I taught you examples like if you want peace, you must prepare for war. For slaves, life was death and death was life. Literally, this statement do not make sense. How can life be death and how can death be life? These statements do not make sense at all. So we can also find it in New Osundare uses paradox. He makes these paradoxical statements to drive home his points, to lay emphasis on the bulk of leaders we have and what we actually need right now. Are we together, class? Okay, now let's look at this example. A leader who knows how to follow followers mindful of their right to lead. Now, the above expression is paradoxical because a leader who has the desire to lead the people must put his or herself in the shoes of the followers. In the real sense, a leader can neither be a follower nor can a follower lead. Now, it's paradoxical. A leader who knows how to follow. Now, if you want to lead people, you should be ready to listen. You should be ready to put yourself in their shoes so that you can fully understand their plight. You can fully understand what these people are going through. Are we together? If you're a leader and you're always on your throne, in quotes now, and you don't get to listen to your followers, then it doesn't make sense. As as a leader, it is so strange because leaders are actually the ones serving. But we find a different case in our country today. Leaders should be the one rendering the services. But here, people become leaders so that people can serve them. It's ironic. It's ironical. Are you getting that? They should be the one offering these services. They should be the one listening to people. What do you want? What do you want me to implement? What are those policies that will favor the communities, the towns, and the cities? But no, they do not ask us those questions at all. Our leaders do not do that. Are we together, guys? So now, they said a leader who knows how to follow. That is what we need. Our leaders, automatically, it doesn't make sense. A leader knows how to follow. How does that sound to you? But it is valid. A leader who knows how to follow, and followers mindful of their rights to lead. In a very real sense, followers are the ones leading because they get to tell the leader, talk to the leader, and the leader adopts their policies. So they are in it together. It's like a big boat, and they are all in one ship. Are you getting it? So you can see it sounds paradoxical. You understand? He must put his or herself in the shoes of the followers if you want to lead people. But in the real sense, like looking on surface, a leader can neither be a follower, and a follower cannot lead. But all these things is just about appellations. They are just titles. This whole title of president, they are just titles, appellations. But in the real sense, they are servants. They are here to serve. They are here to render services to the people. Are we together, class? Okay, let's make progress now. Metaphor. Yes. I've been waiting for this one. I've been really looking forward to look at this one. Metaphor. Now, metaphor is also a comparison between two unlike things. You know that, right? Now, the poem is metaphorical, as metaphor revolves around the poem. Of course, starting from the beginning, the leader and the led. Nino Sundari is such a prolific poet. He uses animals to represent humans. Of course, we're going to go to allegory right away, but he uses animals to represent humans, and you can see the comparison between the animals, the animal kingdom, and human kingdom. Now here, of course, you hope you know that he uses Nigeria as a case study, because there is no in fact, I don't need to know that the poet is a Nigerian to know that he's talking about Nigeria. If I read this poem, I know he's talking about our country. You can see the animals such as lion, hyena, giraffe, the zebra, the elephants, and metaphors for shady politicians who contest for leadership posts but unworthy in character, for they cannot adequately represent the people. Do I have a witness in the house? Anybody say amen? So you get that is basically the Nigerian story. Can you all agree with me, students? That is basically the Nigerian story. That is what we are going through. Even you as teenagers now, sometimes we're in the class and I hear some of you complain of certain policies, of certain things happening. And I'm really impressed. I'm like, yes, even these teenagers, they already know. They know what is happening. They know the crop of leaders we have and how they've been making things pretty difficult for the people. They've been making life really hard. They're unworthy. These leaders, what they do is when election is coming, they go and maybe, I don't know, they cheat or they bribe, or they just, the people are vulnerable. You can't blame the masses. They're vulnerable. They're ready for anything, handouts, just give it to them. They're ready to receive, and they're ready to take the crumbs. And so they give it to them and they promise them so many things in their manifestos. I will do this. I have the right to lead. I can do that. I can do this. And the people are like, yes, he can do it. Why not? Let us elect him. He's the best. If we elect him, he will do this. And you elect these leaders, and they're questionable characters. You can see they're very shady. They are cunning. They're not straightforward. They are visionless. They are oppressors. They oppress the people. We have leaders now. You say something, and before the elections, they were really humble in quotes. Now, they were humble because they knew what they wanted. See, like there's this saying I saw somewhere. They were like, the only time you can test someone's humility is when he has everything. When he has money, ego, or what is money in Ijo? Kudi in Hausa though. Okay, the only time when you can test someone's humility is when he has money. Trust me. Poor people are always humble now. Poor people in quotes, So you can see these leaders, they want a position and they're really humble. And be like, that The man will make a good leader. The man is down to earth. He said this, he said that, he said that, he said this. We hear that, right? But the moment you give them that mantle, it's like there's this, they turn around and they become oppressors. You can't even have access to them. You get? So it is a metaphor. The entire poem is a metaphor. It's metaphorical, comparing the animal kid, using them to talk about the crop of leaders we have. They represent side by side. They represent the crop of leaders we have. Of course, another set of animals in the forest, such as the antelope, the impalas, the impalas are metaphorically referred to as the masses. Metaphor. They refer to them as the masses. They are compared to the masses. You see, the antelopes, like they said, but the lion stakes his claim to the leadership of the pack, but the antelope remembers the ferocious pounds of his paws. The antelope remembers the ferocious pounds of his paws. Are you getting that? So it is so scary. You can see the antelope represent the masses. We know these people. Was it not this same man who was a local government chairman? He did nothing for the community. Even the primary health care center is decapitated. It is a state of hullabaloo. Are you getting that? But you want to come out again. We know these people. We know they are shady. We know they have questionable characters. But we know them. You understand? Even the impalas, we are scared of them. We don't want people like this who will come and not do the right thing, who will come and oppress us. Are you getting that? Now we are the masses who suffer seriously from the misrule of the ruling class, and yet cannot all unite to fight against the oppressive politicians. Now let's talk about topical issues. You've been hearing about the killings, right, in southern Kaduna and Sokoto. You can see indigenous. These are people living in the so-called rural areas that are supposed to be safe. People always say the rural areas is predominantly safe, but people in Sokoto, we see people in southern Kaduna, Katsina. You can see the bandits are everywhere. The herdsmen killing people, killing the masses. You understand? And this as a result of poor leadership. If not, this is not the first time this is happening, especially the southern Kaduna. This is not the first time. And these issues should be addressed. These issues should be addressed. We are the masses who are suffering from it. Now, look at the COVID-19. You can see what happened in other countries. Their president, like Donald, America, they gave their citizens $1,200. I think they even gave them another set. Nigerians who are citizens there received it. Some Nigerians who are citizens in the US, but who were in Nigeria, received that palliative, received those stipends, just to keep body and soul together. But here, the government kept telling us about palliatives. You understand? We're hearing on the news how the minister of the humanitarian minister, Honorable Sadia Umar Farouk, told us about how they've been giving out palliative. In fact, there was something she said 50 billion has been distributed to 1,000 households, and Nigerians were like, oh my god. You could see those funny memes. Nigerians were like, are we that gullible? Are we putting on diaper? Like, you can hardly conduct testings on suspected COVID-19 patients, but you can actually distribute billions of naira in days. Wow, what a miracle working government, right? That is the whole thing. We are suffering from the misrule of the ruling class. But at the end of the day, look at what they said. And the pack thrashes around like a snake without a head. And the pack thrashes around like a snake without a head. And because you can see, yet we cannot all unite to fight against the oppressive politicians. In a way, this poem is a call to duty. I hope you're taking down notes. In a way, this poem is a call to duty, telling us that we still have a lot to do. The battle is still ahead. We need to unite so that they can know that we know our rights. We know what we deserve as citizens. You cannot keep us locked in and not give us palliative, at least to the vulnerable. You know how many people are going hungry? These are the issues. I'm talking about contemporary issues, not even now. Power supply. You stay at home. The government encourage. Of course, there was one time Ministry of Education said we can access this website, access that website for children to be learning at home. Number one, power supply. How can you access those websites if there's no power supply? Number one, it's so crazy. Number two, guys, Did you provide I had in South Africa, someone I saw it on Twitter, in South Africa, students were even empowered with laptops. Yes, I saw a post of saying the government empowered them. It is not even the federal government now. Empowered them with devices to aid their learning. But the reverse is the case here. This is, you are telling students who do not have these devices, or even the teachers you are employed under the government, you are telling them to start. How? Where? When? It's so crazy. How do you want these things to happen? The masses keep doing everything for themselves, but they have leaders up there who should do it for them. And that is crazy, guys. So you can see it's a metaphor for Nigeria. Oh my god. It is. Symbolism. The poet uses park in line 2, 10 and 15 to depict Africa and Nigeria. Let's look at line 2. Okay, to the leader of the park, line 10. 1, 2, 3. The park points to the duplicity of his tribes, and line 15. And the park thrashes around like a snake without a head. To depict Africa. Now, look at symbolism, symbolic. When you talk about something that is symbolic, park talks about Nigeria. The park is... Now, I can tell you to write an essay, commenting on the use of park to represent Nigeria. You should know what to write already. A lot of this going on in the country. You can see, to the leader of the park, they want to lead us. The park thrashes around without a head. I can say that for us. Because the way things are happening, do we really have a leader? To the point that we see people going online begging our leaders to speak out, talk about the pandemic, talk about ways. You see presidents of other countries giving press briefings, on a regular, every few hours. And you'll be wondering, do we have a leader at all, guys? So the poet uses park in line 2, 10 and 15 to depict Africa and Nigeria. This is our situation. The entire poem is symbolic. This is just as you read this poem, just imagine your country. Everything here is symbolic. But poetry, when you say the pen is mightier than the sword, this is what we're talking about. If he had written this thing in the real sense, if he had said the leaders, or maybe he mentioned name of a leader, says he wants to rule Nigeria, he wants to be the leader he wants to be the president of Nigeria, but the people of this community remembers the extent he goes with his bigotry and ethnicity to oppress, stuff like that. Imagine. Hope they would have locked him up. They locked people like Wole Soyinka, and whatnot. People like Mandela, they didn't have guns. These people did not have guns. The pen is mightier than the sword. Say it again. Beautiful. Now, the animals such as the lion, antelope, hyena, impala, giraffe, zebra, elephant, warthog, and rhino are used to represent various types of leaders and followers. Me, in Nigeria here, I know who is lion. I don't know if I won't mention name, for instance, Miss Gift said, I know who the lion is. I know who the antelope is. I know who the hyena is. I know the impalas. People who are... Am I an impalas? I don't know. Maybe not. I know the giraffe. Those ones. Visionless leaders. Now, I'm not just talking about the federal, but the local, state, and federal. Visionless leaders. We know them. Don't worry. Sorry for another day. Allegory. I would say allegory. As a son, please pay attention. Say allegory. Now, the poem is an example of an allegory. This is a work of literature in which the writer, in this case the poet, it could be a novel, like in which the writer uses characters to represent ideas or qualities. Like George Orwell's Animal Farm, it's an example of an allegory. They uses characters to represent ideas or qualities. Now, the characters used in this poem is what kind of characters? Animal characters. In this poem, the poet uses animal characters to represent the leader and the followers in Nigeria. All these things boil down to metaphorical, symbolic, and allegorical. I could tell you to critically analyze the poet's use of allegory. You know what I expect, and I could expect over 2,000 words. They use animal characters to talk about our leader. Simple. He uses animal characters to represent the leader and the followers in Nigeria. The lion symbolizes the ruling class, while the other animals, from the antelope to the snakes, represent the religiously and ethnically diverse masses. Is Nigeria full of ethnically diverse masses? Yes. It is the truth. Everybody wants... Okay, yes, but that is true. I won't call it bigotry now, but everybody feels, their needs will be properly attended to if they get their brother now to be on the seats. You understand? So that is just it. Ethnically diverse masses. So the poem is allegorical. An allegory is a work of literature. Now take note of the definition, in which the writer uses characters to represent ideas. You can see how characters represented ideas and qualities. You can see how he said transparent like a river. Allegorical, using characters to represent ideas and qualities. Beautiful. Let's make progress. Assonance and alliteration. In every poem there are sound effects, there are sound elements. Now for assonance is the repetition of vowel sounds in a sentence. In line 1, the lion stake his claim. Stake his claim. Stake his claim. Now can you see stake? A. Underline it. A. Quickly guys, underline it. You can see in line 9 where they said yes, the giraffe craves a place in the front. The giraffe craves a place in the front. Craves place. There are so many like that. I wouldn't have enough time to list them. Can you see that? So underline A. Now alliteration, repetition of consonant sounds in a line, of poetry. Examples of pounds of his paws. What is the consonant sound there? P. Underline it. The pack point, line 13, underline it. The rhino too riotous, underline it. A hybrid of habits. A hybrid of habits. Are we together guys? Underline it. A little bit of a lamb. No, a little bit of a lion. Little. A little bit of a lamb. Underline underline it. Are we together guys? So there are so many. I just mentioned two so that we can save time. Please, there are so many. In fact, that will be one of the questions I'll give you. Analyze all the sound effects in this poem. Contrast, yes, it's another device. Contrast generally involves a juxtaposition of two unlike things in order to showcase their differences. Juxtaposition, placing them side by side, contrasting. I could place this and this and say, this is heavier, this is lighter. But this one, as much as it's lighter, it has more quality than this. Are we together guys? Now, the poem makes use of contrast both thematically and structurally. The main idea in the poem is developed starting from the title and the body of the poem. The leader represents politicians or the ruling class in our society, while the led refers to the masses, or better still, the citizens. You can see a contrast between the leaders and the led. You can see the led as made to be mild and scared, while the leaders are oppressive. The leaders are unconfident. Are you getting it? So there's a juxtaposition between the leaders and the led. Are we together? Now, enjambment. Quickly, there is a run on line as each line. What is enjambment? Run on line. I taught you. What is enjambment, class? Again? Yes. When one line of a poetry leads to the other, there's a run on line as of the poem runs into another from beginning to the end. This helps to evaluate the subject matter. If you notice in this poem, until we got to probably we got very close to the last stanza. I think the last 4 stanza. Until we got there was a run on line. There was no single comma, no use of no comma, no full stop. For the lion stakes his claim to the leadership of the pack, but the antelope remembers. Run on line. One line runs into another. There was no pause, no hyphen, no comma, no full stop. Enjambment, run on line. Look at it. Let's look at it yourself now. You can pause this video and analyze it yourself. Until I think we got to stanza 9 before we saw a little bit of, because they needed to quote, before we saw a little bit, at least hybrid of habits, comma. That's what we saw. It now went to caesura when there was a pause. Are you getting that? So it's enjambment, run online. So guys, yeah, we have come to the end of this lecture. Now, for those of you who participated, I want to appreciate you.